if you are wondering, will she have a 5-star read in this wrap-up? The answer is yes. Remember by Lisa Genova. We just talked a little bit about you don't know her novels, do you?
No, I don't.
No. Like to demonstrate, she's like one of my favorite authors. And she, like, her most known novel, because it also has been made into a film, is, no, here it is, Still Alice. She also always writes about very rare diseases. She is a neuroscientologist. So her first, this is about early onset Alzheimer. And as she's been asked during a lot of her readings, like stuff about memory and forgetting, and which forgetting is a sign that you might be getting Alzheimer's, she wrote this non-fiction book about memory, and I highly, highly recommend this. It feels very reassuring about stuff that is like super normal to forget. And like what I found
that's good to know for me.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that. I need my notes so much when writing.
And the good point about this is that she makes the point that it's totally fine to make notes, to write a list for what you want to buy, and that will not diminish your memory, because there are people who are afraid if they write down everything, then their memory will get worse because they don't even try to remember stuff anymore. And she says that's not the case, and I like that a lot. And the most interesting, I mean, this is interesting from start to finish, and she writes it brilliantly. But what I thought was very interesting, that how often does it happen to you that you are like, where did I put my glasses?
That doesn't happen so often to me, actually, I have to say. I forget things like what 3 days ago I did on my travels, but these kind of things about order and somehow keeping my apartment, even in a complete mess, still somehow remembering where things are, I'm not so bad in that, actually.
That's interesting.
Because sometimes I lose my glasses, but it's not so common like with other people, I think.
Like stuff that when you go into another room and then you're standing in the other room and you can't remember why you went into the room.
Yeah, it happens, of course.
And the point that she makes is what I found super interesting is you did not forget what you wanted to get in the other room. You didn't remember in the first place, because to remember stuff, we have to pay attention. Like if you put your glasses down and you don't think, okay, now I put my glasses on this table and I remember when I want to find them again, they are here on the table. If you just put them down and you just don't spend any thought about it, then you don't forget where you put your glasses. You just don't build a memory where you put them in the first. And I found that super interesting. And it goes for everything. It goes for what am I doing in this room?
Yeah.
And also memory is location affirmed. Like when you go back to the other room, then you suddenly remember because you thought about it in the other room. And super. Just please do me a favor, go ahead and read. If you've never, like, if you're super informed about this topic anyway, then this is still a nice read. But if not, this is super, super reassuring, super interesting. And I'm like in connection with my yoga education, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts to deal with memory and what meditation does with your mind, for example. And by the way, what's good for your brain? Meditation and yoga. Spoiler. Spoiler. And sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night.
Okay.
Do you manage that?
Actually, at the moment I do. When I'm traveling, then I normally don't. But at the moment, the last 12 years was perfect for sleeping a lot for me, actually, because there were no tight
weeks.
schedules. The last 12 months, actually.
12 months. You said years, 12 months.
Oh,
yeah,
12
that makes more sense.
The last 12 months I was...
What did you do that last 12?
I wish. Yeah. But since the pandemic has started, I'm sleeping more, I think, than before, to be honest.
Which is very good for your brain.
That's wonderful. That's why I don't forget my glasses.
That's why you...
so much.
Solved it.
Wonderful.
Man.
But is it like, it has a lot of, it's like very practical, so it's not so much scientific? Is that what it makes it easy to read.
Yeah.
You have lots of examples from
Yes.
everyday life, and you can connect to it
Yeah.
immediately. And that's a very high art, I think,
Yeah.
to manage with complicated topics to
Absolutely.
break it down to that.
And it's very relatable. And she also, some of the stuff she mentions several times. I think the things she finds it are most important to, especially like for people who are getting older and then have the fear of having Alzheimer. And so she explains what is completely normal forgetting, or what, for example, stuff that you think now might be a sign that your memory gets weaker, but it's something that's always been there, that also happens to 20-year-olds. You just didn't pay any attention to it, that it could be something bad about your memory because you were 20, and now suddenly you're 60, and then you think, oh, I forgot this. Oh my God, am I getting... And most of the time, that's not... But she also explains which signs actually point to Alzheimer. Okay. 5 out of 5 stars, remember, by Lisa Genova. Now for my anti-read books. I really have a problem with this, and especially when it's I'm even harsher when it's young adult literature, because I think you should be even more careful what message you put in a book if it's for young adults who might be vulnerable to certain messages. This book, and I'm going to spoiler, contains a suicide. It is about the friend of a very depressive girl, and the depressive friend has a very bad episode, and her mother is on the verge of putting her into hospital, and the friend helps her to escape and run away, and they go on a road trip. I found this because I was looking for books about road trips, and sorry, even if you write a novel, I think where you put that in, then after 2 days, please, the main character should realize that this is a really bad idea and call the parents, call the mother, because this ends with the friend actually killing herself, and then it totally gets romanticized. Like the funeral thing gets I was devastated about this. I think this is the very wrong message, and I think this is not how you should deal with mental health issues. Do you, by any chance, know the German podcast Jung und Freudlos?
No.
No. It's a podcast from young doctors from the, I think, University Clinic in Freiburg. And they have this podcast, this psychological podcast, where they explain different psychological symptoms. And like a pet peeve for like something that they think is so bad is how people talk about their bad clinic experiences.
Okay.
And you may have had one once, but how literature and TV shows and films always characterize, like especially psychological clinics, is a completely false picture of what actually happens. And also like the fear of getting medicated and stuff like that. And you may sometimes have a person who, for some reason, it's not good for them, but it's like completely wrong message. And they deal with that very good. They deal with it, I think, in almost every episode of the podcast that they mention this. And so I was also maybe a little bit already triggered to see this even more critical. Yeah, so Wendy, Wunder, I'm sorry. No. Funny enough, when I like put the books out for the book talk, you automatically grabbed this one and were wondering about the cover too, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it's just an unusual cover, which I wouldn't imagine in a German bookstore. It's kind of different, but it's not a totally great cover. I think it's just, but it's an eye catcher. It's something that makes you curious, I have to say.
Yeah. I actually don't have too much feelings about this one. Usually I don't like covers that have actual people on it. I think it's okay for this one. But it brought us to the point which we did not talk about in our talk earlier, about your book covers. And did you choose this yourself?
Yeah, actually I had a photographer coming with me for 1 week on that trip. It was a 9-week trip, and for 1 week I had this photographer with me, and we had this great situation. Actually, first we were trying to have me lying on the chair, there's a kind of couch there, and I was lying on it, and 2 of the guys were standing behind. That was the first cover idea. But then we did this group picture and realized it's actually much better, and it tells the whole story of the book, because it's a book about a foreigner who spends a lot of time in the company of local men. And who is kind of different. And so it's my favorite cover so far, I have to say, for my books, because it really tells the story, and it has the right amount of irony and seriousness, and it's exactly like how I would want to present the whole story.
It's a very, very strong picture, because usually, which is also logical, you have pictures of you lying somewhere to bring home the point of couch surfing and being this is literally a couch, and which is also fitting, because in this, I think you don't end up on a single couch in this one.
Yeah, I think there were only corners on the ground, or some mattress on the floor, and some beds, but let me think. Oh, there was one couch. There was an 80-meter couch, actually, kind of, several sofas next to each other. It was the world record couch of all of my travels.
Okay. And you actually slept there?
Yes, I slept in one corner of this. It was like a U-shaped, huge couch. So
that sounds amazing.
I had this superlative.
Is there a picture still with you of that couch, or is that something that got lost with your phone?
No, I have the picture,
you have a picture
but I didn't make it to the book.
Yeah. But have you posted it yet?
No, I haven't actually. I should post it, of course.
You should post it.
This is some good Instagram material. You're right.
Because please also follow Stephan on Instagram. It's your name, Stephan. Is it underscore Orth?
Underscore Orth. O-R-T-H.
Underscore Orth. Because he posts a lot of especially right now, you post a lot of the pictures you took in Saudi Arabia.
That's right.
Yeah. And also always a tiny story about the picture, which is always super interesting. I can highly recommend to follow. I always when I do interviews or talks or stuff with Stephan, I always feel like I'm a salesperson, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Everything that is already available in English by Stephan, go check it out and check him out on Instagram. I can also put the Instagram account, remember me, in the description of the video. And I think on that note,
that would be great.
I always end those book wrap-ups by saying, and please support your local book dealer. And maybe we try to get it into the camera, synchronized. Do you think? The finger is very important. You also have to do the finger. No, you don't have to, but it's funnier if you also do the finger.
Yes.
Please do not forget.
That was not easy for me.
Okay, the important part is support your local book dealer. Support your local book dealer. And thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Moin. I'm Catherine, and today I'm in bed with my favorite books of the month of January till March 2021, because I had a bit of a reading slump in January, so it wasn't that many books. So I'm just going to pack them into one video.